Please delete the biodata.
Okay, I will do it, sir. मी डॉक्टर सुनील इंदुरकर, सहाय्यक प्राध्यापक JS महाविद्यालय जालना. आजचे आपले एज्युकेटर प्रोफेसर संजय कुमार थोरात सर यांचा परिचय करून देत आहे. सरांचा 40 पानांचा परिचय पाहिला आणि विस्मयचकित झालो. सरांनी MSc चे शिक्षण पूर्ण केल्यानंतर एन्व्हायरमेंटल सायन्स या विषयात PhD डिग्री संपादित केली. सर सध्या स्कूल ऑफ एन्व्हायरमेंटल अँड अर्थ सायन्सेस कवयित्री बहिणाबाई चौधरी नॉर्थ महाराष्ट्र विद्यापीठ जळगाव येथे प्रोफेसर आणि संचालक म्हणून कार्यरत आहे. सरांच्या 22 वर्षापेक्षा जास्त रिसर्च आणि टीचिंगचा अनुभव. या दरम्यान त्यांनी अनेक ट्रेनिंग्स घेतल्या. त्यांना अनेक अवॉर्ड्स प्राप्त झाले. त्यांनी अभ्यासक्रम डिझाईन केलेले आहेत. एन्व्हायरमेंटल सायन्स या विषयाचे बोर्ड ऑफ स्टडी मेंबर म्हणूनही त्यांनी सहभाग नोंदवला आहे. अनेक कमिटीमध्ये सरांनी कार्य केलेले आहे. देशात परदेशात कॉन्फरन्समध्ये मार्गदर्शन करण्यासाठी सरांना परदेशातही जावं लागले. हे सगळं जर सांगायचं ठरलं तर तासापेक्षाही जास्त वेळ लागेल, म्हणून मी वेळेअभावी फक्त अति महत्वाचे जे परिचय आहे तो सांगतो. 2008 मध्ये सरांची अमेरिकन बायोग्राफिकल इन्स्टिट्यूट तर्फे द रिसर्च बोर्ड ऑफ ऍडव्हायझर मध्ये निवड झाली आणि मानद सदस्य म्हणून त्यांची नियुक्ती झाली होती. 2010 मध्ये सरांना इंटरनॅशनल बायोग्राफिकल सेंटर केम्ब्रिज इंग्लंड येथे टॉपचे जे 100 सायंटिस्ट होते त्यामध्ये सरांची निवड झाली होती. 2017 मध्ये AIRF अरुणाई इंटरनॅशनल रिसर्च फाउंडेशन तामिळनाडू मध्ये या इन्स्टिट्यूट तर्फे सर्वात जास्त रिसर्च पेपर पब्लिश केल्याबद्दल त्यांना फॅकल्टी अवॉर्डही भेटलेला आहे. या व्यतिरिक्त बरेचसे अवॉर्ड सरांना मिळालेले आहेत. या दरम्यान त्यांना संशोधनासाठी आणि मार्गदर्शन करण्यासाठी अनेक देशांना भेट देण्याचा योग आला, ज्यामध्ये प्रामुख्याने इस्रायल, इटली, मलेशिया, इंडोनेशिया, नेपाळ, दुबई, भूतान या प्रमुख देशांचा समावेश होता. सरांची रिसर्च प्रोफाईल सुद्धा खूप स्ट्रॉंग आहे. त्यांनी ओझोनेशन, ऍडव्हान्स ऑक्सिडेशन प्रोसेस, इलेक्ट्रोकोगुलेशन, इलेक्ट्रो ऑक्सिडेशन फॉर वॉटर अँड वेस्ट वॉटर ट्रीटमेंट आणि ETP चे सुद्धा डिझाईन केलेले आहे. वेस्ट वॉटर पासून एनर्जी जनरेशन वरही सरांनी संशोधन केलेले आहे. अनालिटिकल टेक्निक्स फॉर द कम्प्लीट एक्झामिनेशन अँड वॉटर वेस्ट यामध्ये पण सरांचे संशोधन आहे. अनेक एरियामध्ये सरांचा रिसर्च इंटरेस्ट आहे. त्याचबरोबर अनेक उपकरणे हाताळण्यात व बनवण्यात त्यांनी प्रावीण्य प्राप्त केले आहे, ज्यामध्ये ॲटॉमिक ऍब्सॉर्प्शन स्पेक्ट्रोफोटोमीटर, टोटल ऑर्गॅनिक कार्बन अनालायझर, UV व्हिजिबल स्पेक्ट्रोफोटोमीटर, BET सरफेस एरिया अनालायझर अशी उपकरणे सांगता येतील. सध्या जरी सर स्कूल ऑफ एन्व्हायरमेंटल अँड अर्थ सायन्सेस मध्ये नॉर्थ महाराष्ट्र विद्यापीठामध्ये प्रोफेसर आणि संचालक आहेत, परंतु ते आपल्याही विद्यापीठामध्ये लेक्चर म्हणून त्यांनी लेक्चरशिप केलेली आहे. तसेच या पदापर्यंत येण्यापूर्वी सर डिपार्टमेंटचे हेड म्हणून सुद्धा नॉर्थ महाराष्ट्र विद्यापीठामध्ये त्यांनी काम केलेले आहे. या दरम्यान जवळपास 50 प्रोजेक्टमध्ये सरांनी इतरांना मार्गदर्शन केले आहे. सरांच्या 16 विद्यार्थ्यांना PhD प्रदान झालेले आहे. वेगवेगळ्या महत्वाच्या फंडिंग एजन्सीकडून सरांना 10 प्रोजेक्टसाठी लाख रुपयाचे अनुदान सुद्धा भेटलेले आहे. या व्यतिरिक्त त्यांनी 4 बुक्सही पब्लिश केले आहेत. थेसिस इव्हॅल्युएटर म्हणून त्यांनी काम केले आहे. अनेक ठिकाणी लेक्चर्स डिलिव्हर केले आहेत. कीनोट ऍड्रेसेस सादर केले आहेत. अनेक कॉन्फरन्सेस, वर्कशॉप, सेमिनारमध्ये सरांनी भाग घेतलेला आहे. हे सगळं करत असताना त्यांच्याकडे असलेल्या जबाबदाऱ्यामध्ये त्यांनी NSS आणि NCच्या विद्यार्थ्यांबरोबर सहभाग घेतला आणि त्यांना मार्गदर्शन केले आहे. नॅशनल आणि इंटरनॅशनल जर्नल्स मध्ये जवळपास 100 पेपर पब्लिश केले आहेत. असे बहुआयामी व्यक्तिमत्व असलेले श्री थोरात सर आज आपल्या बरोबर आहेत. तुमच्या सर्वांसह मी सुद्धा त्यांचे मार्गदर्शन घेण्यासाठी अत्यंत उत्सुक आहे. आता अधिक वेळ न घेता मी थोरात सरांना मार्गदर्शन करण्याची विनंती करतो. थोरात सर.
Thank you, Indurikar sir, for your very enthusiastic information regarding myself. हॅलो एव्हरीवन, गुड इव्हनिंग टू ऑल. गुड इव्हनिंग याच्यासाठी की 3 वाजेनंतर आपण आता जरा लेक्चर देतोय म्हणजे जरा थोडंसं बोरिंगच आहे. येस, कॅन यू हेअर मी?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ओके ओके. सगळे
Yes,
मराठी
sir.
समजतं का सगळ्यांना, की याच्यामध्ये इंग्लिशमध्ये बऱ्यापैकी सांगायला पाहिजे?
Sir, English and Hindi.
अच्छा, हिंदी इज देयर ना? नो, म्हणजे ऑल पार्टिसिपेंट्स आर नॉट फ्रॉम मराठी बॅकग्राउंड.
No, sir. I'm from Assam.
ओके ओके, व्हेरी नाईस व्हेरी नाईस. ओके ओके, नो प्रॉब्लेम. Yes, okay, okay. So, very good afternoon to all of you. Just I want to give some information regarding the environmental laws enacted in India. Today, I have just been asked to just deliver on this particular topic so that each and everyone should know about the particular aspect of environmental laws enacted in India. And that's why I'm here. So I am very much thankful to the Academic Staff College, Aurangabad, for giving me an opportunity to just deliver a lecture in your orientation course. So here, it is not in a different topic what I am going to just deliver today, but the thing is that everyone and most of the peoples are not knowing about the environmental laws and how it has been enacted in India, how it has been implemented. That's why this is very important to know each and everyone, and it is everyone's moral responsibility to know about this particular aspect so that you should know about the particular legislation which has been just known. And that's why this environmental legislation we have just for the introductory implementation, this India's first country to have a made provision for environment protection in its constitution. That was after Stockholm Conference in 1972. So if you just want to hear some latest story regarding this particular aspect, that is then the Stockholm Conference, which was prepared, which was in 1972, that time, Mistress Indira Gandhi was representing India to the Stockholm Conference. And in that, major issue on environment was there. And according to that, we don't have any law that time in India. And that's why this was the particular aspect which has been just very much seriously taken by India. And as soon as the Stockholm Conference was over, after that, when she has came into India, we have implemented first act. It was in a Wildlife Act 1972. Though the act was there before independence, but after the independence, this was the first act which has been just came forward. And today also it is with some particular amendments, it has been started. So this is very important to just know about this Stockholm Conference. This was in a particular, what you call as a pillar for Indian sub-constitution that we have just introductory, we have started with the environmental laws. And that after that, the many laws and rules have been made. And this was just on the basis of the Article 48A and Article 51 AG. So which has been in 1948 Factories Act. So Factories Act 1948 is there. And according to that Factories Act 1948, this article has been taken from this particular 48 Act, Factories 48 Act. And in that, this Article 48A and Article 51 AG. So these two articles are very important to just know about the things that we can just see that the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard forests and wildlife of the country. So this was the particular statement which has been picked from the 48 Act, and it has been just prepared. First was, and that was in a Wildlife Act 1972. And in from this Article 51 AG, it has been mentioned that it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to protect and improve the natural environment, including forest, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. So this was the particular sentence which we have just elaborated in our country, and then we have got a lot of acts regarding environment. That was an first Wildlife Act 1972, then Water Prevention and Control Act 1974, then Air Prevention and Control Act 1981, then after that the Forest Conservation Act 1980, and then Environmental Protection Act 1986. And after that, Solid Waste Management Act has been came, Hazardous Waste Management has been came. So according to whatever the problems has been just came forward in Indian subcontinent, according to that, we have just made a different laws in that particular areas. Before that, nobody was knowing about this environmental legislation and all the things, and it was not taken seriously. Today also, the people are not taking seriously about the environmental legislation. But it is, as is in Article 51 AG, it tells like that it shall be the duty of every citizen. So every citizen of India to protect and improve the natural environment. It has been given in 1948 Factories Act. And it was regarding, particularly it was focused on the forest, lakes, rivers, and wildlife to have compassion for living creatures. So this was the particular aspect, and that's why this has been started from that particular Stockholm conference. So first of all, whenever you talk about the environmental laws, environmental legislation, whatever rules, regulation it has to be, we have to remember first of all the Stockholm conference 1972. So it was a big conference for Indian subcontinent to just get a particular such a beautiful acts from this particular particular ideas has been taken from this Stockholm conference. So let us see about this particular aspect, that is how this article throws light upon the top 6 environmental acts enacted in India. That is, some of the environmental acts are, suppose just I have told you that in Wildlife Act 1972. So this was an act which was prepared as soon as Stockholm conference has been finished, and we have just implemented this first act, which was on a Wildlife Act 1972. Then second act was a Forest Conservation Act 1980. Then this Water Prevention and Control Act 1974. Then after that, again, it has been amended in the SAYS form, and then the Water Prevention and Control Act 1977 was just implemented. And after that, Bhopal gas tragedy was there. And according to this Bhopal gas tragedy, what we have just seen that the seriousness of a year, or that's why this Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981 was also just implemented. And whatever it was not mentioned in 1972 Act Wildlife, 1980 Forest Conservation Act, Water Prevention Control Act 1974, then Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981, which has been not present in this particular act, all this, rather than these points, it was just implemented, or it has been put into the Environmental Protection Act 1986. And then this has been just come into existence in 1986. And after that, as the problem has been arises in India regarding the biomedical waste, municipal solid waste, noise pollution, or any biological diversity, now the hazardous waste is there. So these are the particular problems which has been came forward. According to that, we have prepared a rules, and then these rules has been converted into an act. So in that, first was that the Biomedical Waste Management and Handling Rule 1998, then Municipal Solid Waste Management and Handling Rule 2000, then Noise Pollution Regulation and Control Rules 2002, the Biological Diversity Act 2002. So these are the particularly the whatever the problem has been arises in Indian subcontinent. According to that, we have just gone for the rules, regulations, and then it has been converted into a legislation. So this is a clear idea that how it is important for Indian subcontinent, and every citizen of India has to be just known to this particular aspect as per the Article 51 AG. So Article 51 AG, you have to remember, each and every citizen of India has to remember about this Article 51 AG. That is very important. After that, when you talk about, we will just elaborate it each and every particular act so that you will understand very well that what type of act it is and how it has been implemented, what type of strategies are there, then what type of seriousness has to be regarding this particular acts. So this is very important, and that's why this article, which I have just put before you regarding that, we have specially mentioned that article throws light upon these 6 environmental acts. So that is first one as this was an environmental act. First, Wild Protection Act 1972. So when we talk about a Wild Protection Act 1972, when we talk about the Environmental Act 1, Wildlife Protection Act 1972, we can see that this Wildlife Protection Act 1972 provides for production or a protection of listed species of flora and fauna and establishes a network of ecologically important protected areas. The Wildlife Protection Act empowers the central and state government to declare any area a wildlife sanctuary, national park, or closed area. So for that, this particular act has been just prepared. And in that, if you just see the first point, that is Wildlife Act, a landmark in the history, was enacted for providing protection to wild animals and birds. So this was very important because the biogeochemical cycle or the biocycle has to be run very smoothly. And if biocycle is running very smoothly, then only we say that this is in a healthy environment. And that's why this नहीं ये नहीं वाले गाली Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then somehow the disturbance was in the net connection, so that's why it has been disconnected. So now we will continue here. The Act also provides the Constitution of India Board of Wildlife, that we just say in short form, that is IBWL, which actively took up to the task of setting up wildlife national parks and sanctuaries. So this was an idea in 1970 only, 72 only, that for that particular aspect, that the population of India is going to be day by day is going to be grow, and so the forest will be come down or forest will be less into the areas, and that's why this government has to be declared that any area of the wildlife which should be declared as a sanctuary, national parks, or closed areas. So this is called as a prohibited areas first of all. So this prohibited area has been just started, and today you can see the Banarghetta forest are there, or any of the forest which has been just trapped and it has been declared as a sanctuaries or a particularly national parks or a closed areas. So these closed areas, why this has been declared? Because due to the whatever the wildlife animals are there, it should be saved. And that's why this is very much important. And that was an idea in 1972. Today also it is the same one, that we are not seeing this particular aspect, that if you see that the wildlife is going to be vanished or it is going to be just gone from the onto the earth, then it will be a problematic for us to just see the biocycle which is running into the environment, that is called as an ecosystem. So this ecosystem, if it is going to be run very smoothly, we just see that, then we can just go for this particular aspect, that it is a moral responsibility of the human being to just protect the wildlife species and the forest. So this is the particular aspect what we have to just see. Then after that, if you just talk about the objectives of this act. So the objectives of this act was to restriction and prohibition of hunting and trapping wildlife. So this was the first objective which has been given in this particular act, that restriction and prohibition of hunting and trapping wildlife. But before this particular act has been existent, that the many Rajas, Maharajas was very much just eager to go and hunt the particular animals, especially for wildlife. And that was in a particular aspect which has been very, what you call it as a bravery award has to be given to that particular fellow who is just going to hunt the particular wildlife. So that was the thing which before 1972. But after 1972 also, many of the zamindars and saukars, they were not just aware about this particular aspect. And then also they were just hunting. They have continued to hunting. But when that has been trapped by the government, and when it has been just trapped by the forest officer or anything like that, they have just given that particular aspect, that this is already, it has been mentioned in the act that it should be prohibited for hunting and trapping of the wildlife animals. Then also today also we can see, or a daily papers, in newspaper you can see that some of the animal has been killed and all the things that happened, that smuggle the particular matter, particular skin or hide of the particular animal. So that is today also it is going on. But the thing is that they are not taking in a very serious way that the restriction which has been quoted, that was on the first objective, that is about the prohibition on hunting and trapping of the wildlife. Then the second objective of this particular law or a legislation is rehabilitation of endangered and threatened species. So rehabilitation means what? Punarstapit karne. So here you have to rehabilitate the endangered. So whatever the species has been gone in endangered, that has to be reestablished. And the threatened species which has been, that has to be reestablished, so that you will not lose that species from the particular world. And that's why this is very important to just have, and that's why the second objective was rehabilitation on endangered and threatened species, which has been done. Then third objective was preservation of biological diversity by establishing sanctuaries, national parks, and biospheres. So this preservation means what? Or a biological diversity of establishing sanctuaries, national parks, and biosphere. So as we know that today also, lot of just, if you see the population, it is growing like anything. And that's why we are coming up with a lot of cement jungles. We don't have a land for the particular forest. And secondly, for our farming also, we don't have land today. That is the problem. But the thing is that that time only it has been just given a mention into this particular objective, that was a preservation of biological diversity by establishing sanctuaries, national parks and biosphere. So wherever you will find the forest is there. So social forestry area is there, suppose, or any of the forest area is there which is under the particular forest, or it has been just declared into the forest area. So that has to be just taken consideration for prohibition of hunting, trapping of wildlife. Then whatever the species are there into the areas, that has to be rehabilitated, and preservation of biological diversity, or whatever the biologically diverse animals are present in one area, that has to be declared as a sanctuaries. So this was a concept, and according to that, today you will find lot of sanctuaries are there, lot of national parks we have built, and the biosphere reservoirs are there. This is the particular gain of 1972 Wildlife Act 1972. Then the fourth point is that the grant of the special permit to hunt a wildlife for scientific research. So here only the binding has been not given, or restriction and prohibition has been not given for hunting and trapping the wildlife. But if it is required, if it is required for the grant of a special permit for the wildlife or scientific research, then it has to be taken with special permission for the benefit of the society. So for the benefit of the society, the grant of a special permission should be given for hunting the wildlife for the scientific research. And then whatever the data or whatever the results are going to become, that can be utilized for the society. So that is the main aspect behind this particular aspect. And that's why this fourth objective was that the grant of special permit to hunt a wildlife for scientific research, scientific management, and collection of specimens of zoological gardens, museums, etc. So this was the particular thinking in 1972 itself. And today it is a fit for a 2024, that this is very much important into the point of view of animal protection, the point of plant protection, and environmental protection. So these are the things. Then after that, we can just see the fifth point, that is a regulation of trade in wildlife and national conservation strategies. So what are the national conservation strategies and how it has to be implemented? So that is a most difficult task. And that's why this has been just prepared, that regulation has been prepared in that particular area. And then this was just mentioned in various aspects. And then the last point was collaboration with voluntary bodies and NGOs. So NGOs are very important. If we just talk about today's picture, we can see that NGOs plays very important role. Though some NGOs are called a guilty one, or some of the NGOs are not doing properly their work, but whatever the NGOs who are doing their innocently, they are working for the environment, we have to take a help of them. Unless and until we take a help of NGOs, the governmental bodies are not going to just take action on the environmental protection. So that's why this is very much important, that collaboration work has to be done with the voluntary bodies and NGOs, so that the supportive aspect will be there, and from that a big outcome will be come forward. So that was the thing of this particular last objective. After this objective, this was a particular scenario or overall scenario of an aspect. And then if you just see about the primary chapters of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, that is a section number 1 in this particular aspect, short title, extent and commencement. That is the section number 1 it is talk about. Then section number 3 of this objective was to appointment of directors and the other officers. And if you just talk about the hunting of wildlife animals, if you see in chapter number 3, section number 9, prohibition of hunting. So section number 9, it tells about the prohibition of hunting. If you just hunt some animal and just it is going to be trapped, like Salman Khan was trapped in this particular aspect. That was under section number 9. That was a prohibition of hunting. So hunting is prohibited, then also you have hunted and you have just killed one of the wildlife. So that is a offense. And this offense comes under section number 9. And you will be behind the bars and all the things will be there. So that is the most important, and that's why we have to be very serious about this particular aspect, that whenever you just see any of the animal, any of the nice flower is also there in that particular area, but very nice flower and you are just taking off that flower, then also it is going to be penalized. So that is very important to just remember about this particular aspect, that is section number 9. Prohibition of hunting or picking of any of the endangered species from the forest area. So if you are not permitted to just pick up any of the species from the forest area and keep with you. It is a property of the forest and it has to be lived there only. Only you have been just gone as a visitor there, visit it, and even if you just tease the animal, that is also an offense, and it comes under section number 38J. If you go in zoo, suppose example, if you go in zoo and some monkey is there, or any chimpanzee is there, or any of the animal is there, and you are teasing to them, it is also an offense under 38J. But the thing is that whoever the chief warden officer is there, he on the humanity ground, he don't take any action on you because you have come for enjoyment, and so he is not going to take any action. But if you tease very badly to that particular animal, an animal is going to be in a recklessness, is going to be ragit sova madhe to ye to sadya. What will happen? They will just under the 38J section, you will be behind bars, and that for that 50,000 rupees a penalty, it has to be just given by you. So that is a very offensive aspect, and that's why whenever you enter into such type of prohibited areas, wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, or any of the particular zoos, that time you have to just keep in mind that these are the particular aspect that we have to be very careful about the things, so that you cannot harm to the any of the particular animals. So that is about it has been mentioned in chapter number 3 and section number 9. And what about the protection of plant species here? So plant species here, 17A, as the prohibition of hunting has been given for section number 9, for plant protection, it is a section number 17A. So 17A tells about the prohibition of picking, uprooting, etc. of specified plant. So specified plant है और उनको लग रहा है कि बहुत अच्छा प्लांट है, वहीं इसको तोड़ लूं, या ये बहुत अच्छा फ्लावर है, इसको तोड़ लूं. So it is also a particular offense what you are just going to do in that particular area, and it can be captured under the section number 17A. So that is very important to look after the things, that this has to be not avoided. Otherwise, it will be very much problematic for the common man. Then if you enter into the particular areas and unnecessarily you are grant a permission for a special purpose, if you are just taking that particular, picking some of the particular plant species, and you are just asking that particular area fellow or forest officer or chief warden officer who is there, that I am picking for this, for the special purpose or for the research purpose and other things, then also you cannot take it unless and until you take a particular, your application sanctioned by the, for where and whom you are going to give or what type of research you are going to do. From that particular person, the letter is required, and after the providing that letter, then only you are going to be grant of permit for special purpose under section number 17B. So here 17B is only for, and many of the people just write there under section 17B, please provide us this plant so that we can come on to the conclusion about this particular plant. So the, like that it is, and that is the thing is that grant of permit to special purpose. that is 17B. Then if you want to cultivate or specified plants without license prohibited, suppose a cultivation of your specified plants without license you are going to do, then also this is the particular aspect what we have to just keep in mind, that under section number 17C, particular plant species are there. So cultivation of specified plants without license prohibited. License, if it is there, then only you can go for such things. Otherwise, unless you are not having any license for that, then it is an offense under 17C. This is very much important under the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So though they have mentioned that Wildlife Protection Act 1972, one wild and endangered species of plants as well as animals, both they have been just given in this particular law. And that's why we have to just look very seriously about the plants and animal dealing in specified plants without license for the animal to take home or a plant to take home. So this is particular aspect. And whatever, suppose these are the particular aspect which has to be just taken. And then if you talk about the sanctuaries, national parks and closed areas. So these national parks, sanctuaries, closed areas are declaration of sanctuaries. So how it has to be declared? So you have to take a help of a 1972 Act under section number 18. The government can declare the sanctuary in an area. Otherwise, nobody has right. Parliament, Government of India has full right to declare under section number 18 of Wildlife Act 1972 to declare a sanctuary. So this is most important aspect. Then we will take only the particularly whatever it is very much important one, that only we will just take the points. Otherwise, it is very big one. If you talk hours and hours, it will not finish. Then also we will just see only the summarized aspects. Then you just talk about a central zoo authority and recognition of zoos. So recognition of zoos under 38 C, D, E, F. So these are the particular sections where you can just see that the central zoo authority and recognition of zoos has been declared. And according to that, they are running in that particular places. And then the most important problem is that trade or commerce in wild animals, animal articles and trophies. So a lot of fellows, they kill the animal, smuggle the particular parts of the animals, wild animals or articles they are going to be prepared, trophy they are going to prepare, and they are selling in a very huge amount. So these are the particular aspect what we have to just prohibited under section number 39, that is called as a wild animals, etc., to be a government property. Any of the wild animal is there, it is a government property. Who tells us? Section number 39 of Wildlife Act 1972 tells us that wildlife animal, etc., to be a government property. It is not a personal property of anybody. It is a government property. So it should not be just trapped. It should not be kept in your houses, or it should be not just put as a particular trophies in your houses like that. So these are the particular section number 39 tells about. Then if you just talk about the prohibition of trade or commerce in trophies, animal articles delivered from certain animals, that is, it comes under section number 49B. That tells about the prohibition of dealing in trophies, animal articles derived from scheduled animals. So these are the particular aspects what we have to just see, or we have to be very serious about this aspect. And that's why these objectives, which has been objectives, tells all story regarding the particular Wildlife Act 1972. Then you see whatever we have seen, that is a section, subsection, what are the penalties for that, what is the offense for that, what is the prohibited areas, then what are the protected areas, specified areas, all that has been given. Like that, some drawbacks also there for the Wildlife Protection Act. And what are they? So this, it seems that the act has been enacted just as a fallout of Stockholm Conference held in 1972. As I told you before only, that Stockholm Conference, as soon as the government authorities have just returned into India, we have prepared this particular first act that was a Wildlife Act, Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So this was a drawback here that we just say it has not included any locally involved conservation measures. So it has been not mentioned any local involved conservation measures here, and that's why it was in a very hurry that this law has been, or this legislation has been prepared and it has been implemented in Indian subcontinent. The second point of drawbacks was that the personal ownership certificate for animal articles, tiger, leopard skins, etc., are permissible, which very often serve as a tool for illegal trading. So this is also the thing is that leopard skin, tiger skin, this is not permissible, but whichever very often serve as a tool for illegal trading. So illegal trading is going on, and that we can see. Recently, I have heard that in Aurangabad also, this leopard has been entered, and a lot of people have been given their own reactions in this particular matter. But the thing is that we have to protect under the Wildlife Act 1972. So we don't have to kill that particular animal, or any of the forest officer when they came in that particular area. They don't allow anybody to just hammer or just kill that particular animal or to make some particular injuries to that animal. So this is the particular aspect. But then if you just see, the third one is a very important drawback, that is wildlife traders in Jammu and Kashmir easily get illegal furs and skin from other states, which after being made into a caps, belts, and we are very proud to just wear this particular belts. So this is a skin of that animal, so and so animal, that we just take it a very costly it is, but then also we can take it and we just use it for our own purpose. So that should not be happen. And that's why if you are a very much aware about as a citizen of India, then you should just stop to sell or to buy this particular caps, belts of any of the vermin to the wildlife animals, so that the restriction will be there. So demand is there, so the offense is going to be happen. If the demand is not there, the offense will not get happen. And that's why the many of the people has to look after these things, that while killing these animals, we have to think over that particular aspect, that this is better or not. That is most important. Then after that, you can just say, this is so happening because Jammu and Kashmir has its own Wildlife Act and it does not follow the Central Wildlife Act. So before this, today also you can see this Wildlife Act is, they are not following Indian subcontinent, except Jammu and Kashmir. All the India has to be under the control of this particular legislation or act. But the thing is that Jammu and Kashmir is not, again, today also it is not under the Indian subcontinent. Moreover, the hunting and trading of several endangered species prohibited in other states are allowed in J&K, thereby opening avenues for illegal trading in such animals. So illegal trading is going on in a very huge way, large way, and the demand is more. So the people also go doing offenses. They are entering into the forest like anything and just killing the animals and selling their skins, hides, or anything like that. Bones also they are going to be sell. Or if you just talk about the elephant teeth is going to be very expensive. That is also going to be sell. So this is the particular aspect, and the big type of amount they are going to get from that. That's why they don't worry about the thing that we are killing the animals or what. But they just kill the animal, they pick up the particular part and sell it into the demanding areas. So this is a drawbacks of the Wildlife Protection Act. Then if you see, these are the drawbacks. After that, The next point is that there is a little emphasis on protection of plant genetic resources also. So this is plant genetic resources, whether availability is there or not, that is another part. But the thing is that whatever the protection has to be done for the plant species, it is not up to that particular mark. And many of the peoples are not knowing about this particular law only. That's why these are the particular seriousness is not in the human being, or seriousness is not into the peoples, and that's why this is happening. And the last point of this particular drawback is that the offender of the act is not subject to very harsh penalties. So harsh penalties are not given. Suppose if you go into the other countries, you will find some of the offenses has been made by the particular fellow, so he is going to be hanged till death. That is the penalty for that. So that person is not going to dare about the things that to do the offense. If you go enter into the Dubai, you will find these are type of penalties are there. If some type of a recklessness has been happened, some type of offenses has been happened by the particular Dubai fellow, he is going to be hanged into the particular chops. So these are the particular aspect what we have to just look into the matter. And this is the most important and very aspect that this not a very harsh penalties are present, or it has been given for the particular whatever offenses is going to be done by you in the Forest Act. And it is just up to the 3 years imprisonment. Only 3 years after that he will be released, or the fine of rupees 2,000, 25,000 rupees, or both. So like that it is. So it is a very small amount today's, and that's why if you just hang till death, or for 7 years, 15 years, you are going to be imprisonment, and like that it is the punishment. You will find that the offenses will be less. But the thing is that very short time and short period penalties what has been just given in this particular law, and that's why the people are also daring to do this particular offense and earn lot of monies from this particular area. So these are the aspect. Then if you just see about the next one, that is a forest, that is an Environmental Act second, that is called as a Forest Conservation Act 1980. So this Forest Conservation Act 1980 is also a somehow specially made for the national forest policies under 1980. That tells about the act which has been just prepared. The act covers all types of forest, including reserve forest, protected forest, or any forest land, irrespective of its ownership. The Act has made ample provision to check deforestation and encouragement or afforestation for non-forest areas. So non-forest areas, so this is very important to just look after this particular aspect, that forest land. The Forest Conservation Act 1980 restricts the powers of the state in respect of de-reservations of forest and use of forest land for non-forest purposes. So this was then a particular aspect which has to be just mentioned in this particular law. And that's why this National Forest Policy 1980 prohibited state government for declaring any portion of forest as non-reserved without approval of central government. The policy also prohibits the state government for allotting any forest land for non-forest purpose. So if the forest land is there and you are going to utilize for the non-forest purpose, it will be not be happen unless and until the central government approves for this particular areas. And that's why this is again important aspect under the Forest Conservation Act 1980. And then the third point is that the Amendment Act 1988 prohibits lease of forest land to anybody other than the government. It enhances conservation, plantation, and increase of forest cover to an average of 30%. So this is also an important point. If you just think over it, you will find what is an Amendment Forest Act 1992. So after 1980, again, it has been amended. Amended म्हणजे पुरवणी लावणे. So that amendment has been done in 1992, and whatever the lacunas were there in the Forest Act, it has been mentioned in 1992 Amended Forest Act. And that was, first, it was the act made provision for allowing some non-forest activities in forest without cutting trees with prior approval of central government. So this was on a particular aspect. Then second one was this activities include setting of transmission lines, seismic surveys, exploration, drilling, and hydroelectricity projects. So this should not be just be taken as an action in the particular forest, and that's why this has been mentioned here. Then second one was that wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, etc. are totally prohibited for any exploration or survey without prior approval. But today you can see it's wherever government finds some ore is there, some type of in the form of iron, in the form of aluminium, like that ore is fine. What happened? The government give permission to take the ore from that particular area, and then it is going to be restored. Again, it is going to be restored. But here in Amended Forest Act 1992 tells about that the wild sanctuaries, wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, etc. are totally prohibited. So if you find some of the particular product in that underground of that particular area, it should not be exploration. It should not be exposed or survey without prior approval of central government, even if no tree felling involved. So trees are there or any of the particular thick forest is present in the area, you have to look after, you have to think about that particular wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, etc. Whether it is going to be put as an a or kept as an a prohibited areas for years together. The third point is that the cultivation of tea, coffee species, rubber, mulberries, or rearing skill worms and cash crops are included under non-forest activities and are not allowed in reserve forest. So this, for social forestry, whatever the land of a social forestry is there, it is prohibited is in that area. It is that these activities are not allowed into the reserve forest. But the thing is that when some of the cultivation of trees, coffee, spices, rubbers, and mulberries plants are there, silkworm is there. So that time it is going to give a earning source, and that's why the particular aspect was that the point has been came forward that was in a small scale industries, and this small scale industry has to be run into the areas where these plants are being cultivated, and that's why this has been came forward. The idea has been came forward regarding this tea, coffee, spices, and rubber or rearing skill worms as a cash crops. And then fourth point was that even cultivation of fruit bearing trees, oil yielding plants, or medicinal plants in the forest area need to be first approved to maintain the balance in the ecology of the forest. So this is a line is very important in this particular aspect. That is, even cultivation of fruit bearing trees, oil yielding plants, or medicinal plants in the forest area need to be first approved to maintain the balance in ecology of the forest. So ecosystem, as we have just talked before only, that wildlife animals should not be disturbed. It has to be prohibited area. It has to be protected areas. And for plant species also same thing is there. And to balance the ecosystem, it is very important. If you are not balancing the ecosystem, then everything will get collapsed and you will not say that environment is healthy. So and so area's environment is healthy. When we talk about this particular healthiness, when there all plant species, various plant species are present in the area, that is called as a diverse plant species. That is we say it is a diversified species, and diverse type of animals. So lot of species of animals are also present in the area, and the plant species also present in area. Then we say it is as a biological diverse area. So that is a biological diversity. So biological diversity, if it is strong in the area, then only the ecosystem will be strong. And when the ecosystem is strong, then we say that is an environmental healthy environment in the area. Unless and until you will get this two of the object in a very huge amount, you will not say that the healthy environment is present in this area. And that's why this concept was there, and that's why it has been came forward, and then it has been amended in Forest Act 1992. Then after that, this mining is a non-forestry activity and prior approval of central government is mandatory. Every time, whatever the activity regarding the environment has to be gone or what to be performed in the area, it is mandatory for each and everyone to take a prior approval from central government. And here also, wherever the ores are there, some mining process is going on. In the forest, lot of mine is there. So that time that this mining, whenever it is going to be done, that time the non-forestry activity and prior approval has to be taken by the government of India. And then only it has to be excavated. It has to be done. You have to just go for this particular aspect. Otherwise, it is not possible, or it has to be illegal. It is called as an illegal one. If you say that the central government may, if it considered is necessary or expanded so to do for the purpose of this act, by order published in the official gazette, constitute an authority or authorities by such name or names as may be specified in the orders for the purpose of exercising and performing such of a powers for functioning. So this is a difficult language which has been given here, but one has to understood this particular language, and according to that we have to act. Otherwise, it is very difficult to know the particular act and how to implement, how to act according to particular this legislation. That is more important. And then any proposal sent to central government for non-forest activity must have a cost benefit analysis. So cost benefit analysis and also environmental impact statement of the proposed activity. So let me explain about this particular aspect, that is cost benefit analysis. What is the cost benefit analysis called? So if you talk about an environmental aspect, that is a different definition. When we talk in the form of engineering aspect, there is a different definition. And when we talk about any of the areas which is a progressive one, but giving lot of money, that is a different definition for that. And here in cost benefit analysis means, if you take one example of a tree, suppose one tree is standing, and if you ask to the engineer that what is the cost benefit analysis, give me the cost benefit analysis of this tree. So what he will do, he will just measure the particular tree, what type of a wood is going to become, what type of a furniture is going to be prepared, and according to that they will just submit their cost benefit analysis. What is the cost of the tree, how it is going to be benefited, and compile all these things and give the analysis report. So that according to the engineer. But you just tell a environmentalist to do a cost benefit analysis of this tree, then what he will do is that, first of all, what type of a plant species it is, how many vermins means microscopic organisms living on that particular plant. Secondly, how many birds are living on that, how many they rest, the birds have a nest on that particular plant species, and how it is useful for the environment to protect plants, birds, animals in and around area of the plant. So he will give you a cost of that particular plant is that the birds are living, lot of birds. So number of birds are there, number of vermins are there, number of microorganisms are living, number of parasites are living in the area. And according to that, what is the benefit? Benefit is that to keep the healthy environment in the area. So healthy environment, when it is going to be, when the cost is there, benefit is that it will keep a all healthy environment, because lot of animals, lot of living creatures in the form of microscopic or microscopic animals are present, surviving on that, living on that, and just making their own houses on that particular plant or a tree is a benefit. And when we compile this cost and benefit, and we just explore in the form of analysis, we say this is an environmental cost benefit analysis. And that's why it is a different aspect. When you go to CA, it will show any other cost benefit analysis of your salary, of your cuttings and all the things. But here it is not like that. It is totally working on the environmental aspects. And that's why this cost benefit analysis is very important. In the point of view of a Forest Conservation Act 1980, and it was amended in 1992. Then environmental impact statement. So what are the impacts in the area? Today, what is the situation of the area, present situation in the area? And after 20 years, what will be the situation of this particular area? If some of the big type of a plants or industries are coming in that area, then what will be the impacts? So this is very important. That's why this environmental impact statement has to be proposed activity. Whatever the activities you are going to do in that particular area, that has to be mentioned, and you have to give or submit an environmental impact statement. So today, this is the situation. This type of animals are living, this type of a birds or any of the living creatures are living in the area. And after 20 years, what will be the situation of what type of a living creatures are going to be living in that particular area? So this is the particular scenario. Whole scenario has to be mentioned in the statement, and it has to be proposed activity. And that's why this is very important in the point of view of this cost benefit analysis and environmental impact statement, which has to be provided to the government. And then only government or central government will think about the any proposal which has been quoted, and whether it is benefited to the environment or not. That is most important, and that's why it has to be gone. Then after that, if you just see, the more strengthened penal provisions are made against violators of the act. So this, see, when this act has been prepared and violators also they are in that particular area, so they are going to be just gone for this particular activity. But what are the drawbacks of this Forest Conservation Act? That I will tell you a little one story also about the Chipko movement. That is a very known. Chipko movement म्हटलं की आपल्याला असं वाटतं की सुंदरलाल बहुगुणा हा आपल्या लक्षात येतो, पण तसं नाहीये. It is not like that. Whenever we talk about the Chipko movement, that time this act has just transferred the powers from state to central to decide the conservation of reserve forest lands for non-forest purposes. So thus powers have been centralized at the top. See this, you are seeing this picture of the ladies who are just hugging to the trees. So these are the pictures of Chipko movement, which has been just quoted here. We have given that. Why this has been quoted? Many of you might not knowing about this Chipko movement also, but the thing is that one story I will tell you about this. Whenever this Chipko movement case study came forward, many of the people know that Sundarlal Bahuguna was the fellow who has been hero in this Chipko movement, and he has started this particular Chipko movement. But this is not the story. The story is that, first of all, this is called as Garhwal region. So this is an Garhwal region, ladies, which is just lived into the Kumwan Gaon. Kumwan village is there, and in that village they lived very happily. And when the Gandhian Satyagraha has been finished, after that, Sarla Ben and Mira Ben, these two ladies have came to this particular area, and they have started the uh, particular activities regarding the alcohol consumption, not to do alcohol consumption, ladies power, and all the things has been, they have the activity has been started in the particular area here. But after that, what happened? The main work of this particular ladies is that to earn the bread and butter. So how they are going to earn the bread and butter? That was from the honeys, from the honeybees. Whatever the honey is going to be produced, they are going to take out from this particular plants, and they are going to sell out, and then they are earning something, and then they are going to just have their own bread and butter. So that was the situation. And in that, some of the contractor fellows were coming into the forest, cutting the trees and sowing another particular species in that area. And this was the story which has been gone. And after some period, what happened? The honeybees were not coming in the area, and they are not giving, or they are not producing a lot of honey what was before. And that's why this was a huge cry in these ladies and the village peoples, that how the honeys has been lost and all the things has been happened. And for that purpose, this Sri Dev Suman was an activist fellow who was a very talented fellow in that particular area. And this fellow were just giving application to Delhi every time that something is going to be wrong into the Kumwan and Garhwal region. So just look into this particular area, that why these honeys are not going to be produced, and what is wrong in the area. And that's why every time he has to go to the Delhi, give the application, come back, but nothing has to be happen. And when he go to Delhi, that time on the particular bus stand, one of the 7-year fellow who was begging in the area, and this 7-year fellow, no having mother, father, nothing. So Sridev Suman brought him into this particular area. And after that, he was also involved, that 7-year fellow, whenever the contractor, and this activity has been started from his 7 years. So he was looking after the things. And when he was a 14 years, 15 years fellow, that time this activity has been started, that something is going to be wrong means what? That contractors are coming, cutting the huge trees and sowing the small trees in that area. And that's why the honeys are not going to be produced a lot of honey in the area. So that was the thing. And that's why this Sridev Suman started this activity, that Chupko movement. So hugging to the trees, whenever the contractor fellows has to come, this fellow who was a small 14 years fellow, he has to just he has to call the ladies and just ask them to hug the trees, so that the contractor people do not cut the trees. And this has been started, and this is called as a Chipko movement, which has been started. But the main hero was Sarla Ben, Mira Ben. These were the two ladies. Third one was Sridev Suman. After the death of Sridev Suman, this government has taken one committee, has been just formed on this particular area, Garhwal region, and they have find out that what the reason was, that why the honeybees were not coming in the areas, and what was been happening. So that was the thing, is that the whatever the plant species was there, contractor was not showing that only the species, but they are going to just with bhanj trees. So bhanj trees doesn't have instead of bhanj trees, the cheer pine trees, pinus trees were just going to be sowed in the areas. And pinus trees don't have leaves, and that's they are not going to be fall, the moisture content is not going to be happen, and then honeybees are not going to come in the area. So this was the reason behind that. And when this was and been put before the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi that time, this has been banned, that now and here and after, the no tree will be cut down from the Garhwal region in the areas. And that's today also, you will see that no trees has been cut down in the areas. And today a lot of honey is going to be come from this particular area. So this has been action has been taken. So the main hero was Tridev Suman behind that. And then after that, whenever the contractor fellows come, a huge cry was that Chupko, Chupko. That was in a Chipko. So Chupko movement has been started. And then Tridev Suman has been gone. And Sundarlal Bahuguna has come as a hero in the area. And then he protested against each and every activity of the environmental. And then he called as an environmentalist or activist in the area of the Garhwal region. So this is a small story which has been happened in the area. But the forest dwelling tribal communities have a rich knowledge about the forest resources which values the conservation, but their role and contribution in neither knowledge nor honored by the government. And that's why this problem has been came forward. But after the efforts has been taken or make up by the gaps in the law by introducing the principle and public trust or human right protections. So this has been started after many of the particular aspects which has been happened. After that, so this is all about the Forest Act. Now the third act was an Environmental Act. So that is an Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. So this Water Act was very important because wherever you will find this defined as a like pollution, sewage effluent, trade effluent, stream and boards. So this water is very essential factor for the human beings, animals, plants, everywhere. So that's why this was an important issue and we don't have any legislation regarding this matter. And that's why the third act was enacted in India. That was a Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. Participants are there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we'll take a 10 minutes break and then we'll start because only 3 acts has been remaining. So that is a quite interesting. This is interesting for you or not?
Yes, sir.
Very much interesting, sir.
So just ask me the questions so that I can give the answers also because if you understood, you will ask me the questions. Otherwise, what will happen now? If you don't understood the things, you will not ask any single question to me. So that is the fact. And that's why if you just hear me carefully, you will just see that it is very interesting. And today we are not knowing this knowledge or as an Indian citizen, we should know this knowledge. But today, many of the fellows, they don't have this knowledge about the environmental laws and act. And that's why it is very important aspect and study, which you have to just look after. Okay, just we will start in 10 minutes. Huh?
Okay, sir.
Sir, okay.
Yes, shall we start?
Yes, sir.
All of you are present or what?
Yes, sir, present.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Present.
present.
Okay, then we will start now. So in next part, we will just see the water pollution. These three parts are remaining. So we will finish before time only. So no problem for that. But the thing is that we have to just, these are the important laws or acts which has been just mentioned here. So according to that, just we will see in a very brief way that what is a third act that is called as an environmental act. Third, that is a Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. So here this act tells about the probate and discharge of pollutants into water bodies beyond given the standards and lay down penalties for non-compliances. So this is the thing. Then this act was amended in 1988 to conform the closely to the provision of EPA. EPA means Environmental Protection Act, and in 1986 it set up the CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, which lays down standards for the prevention and control of water pollution. At the state level, this State Pollution Control Board functions under the direction of the CPCB and the state government. This also provides a very lay collection of the sales and the water consumption of the area. And that's why this is very important aspect, that this act defines the terms like pollution, sewage effluent, trade effluent, streams and boards. So that's why the silent features has been given of this pollution control act. That is, first silent feature is that act provides them for maintenance and restoration of quality of all types of surface and groundwater. So surface and groundwater means each and every water drop which comes onto the earth. Regarding that, it has been given or it has been mentioned here, and how to protect it, what type of a protection measures has to be followed. These are the particular aspects which we have to just see in this areas. Then if you talk about the establishment of central and state boards, so central government was established. Before central government established, this was a Ministry of Environment and Forest who are looking after this particular act. And after that, Ministry of Environment and Forest has just formed a CPCB, that is a Central Pollution Control Board. And Central Pollution Control Board, under that Central Pollution Control Board, State Pollution Control Board works. And whatever the information regarding the particular area from the state is there, it is gone through, or it has to be through the state board to the central government, Central Pollution Control Board, and Central Pollution Control Board will inform to the Parliament, Government of India. So this is the procedure which has to be followed. And that's why this act assigns powers and functions of these boards to the control pollution. So what type of pollution has to be controlled and what type of strategies has to be implemented to control the pollution. So that is most important here. Then Central and State Pollution Control Board are given comprehensive powers to advise, coordinator and provide technical assistance for prevention and control of water pollution here. And also this act has provision for funds, budgets, accounts and audit for the state and central pollution. So what is the particularly a small area? We will take the example of small area. Suppose one of the city is there, and in that city some type of a wrong things are happening, or industry is just throwing the water without treatment into the areas. Then what to do? What type of action has to be taken and all the things has to be done. So that's why these are the So the act prohibits disposal of any poisonous or polluting matter to the flow of water in streams. However, dumping of any material into the stream or for the purpose of reclamation of land is not considered for offense. So this offense, suppose one of the particular village is there, and this village is a village, if a nala is there or a river is there flowing in that particular area, and some of the industry is there, and then without treating the water, it is going to be sent to the river or nala. And when this water is picked for the irrigation, for the farming, and some of the particular land is fertile, suppose, but a rich microflora was present in that soil, but now when they put this water into that land, the microflora has been get dead, and you will find that the fertile land has been converted into a barren land. So that time, this type of a complaints comes from the farmers to the pollution control board, and pollution control board then just see that what particular things is happening in the area, and according to that they take the action. So for that purpose, these are the particular laws which has been prepared under the Water Act 1974. That the act provides for the serve and deterrent punishment for violation of the act, which includes fine and imprisonment. So as I have just before only I have told you that the small fine is there, not a big one, and now it has been not again, it has been amended, and that's why that is the small fine has to be paid by the polluter pays. So we call it as a polluter pay, because every time some type of a offense has to be done by the industry, they are releasing the water without treating to the nalas, rivers, and it is going to be impacted onto the biota, onto the plants, or onto the animals who are just drinking that water and get dead in the areas. So like that, the complaints are coming from the rivers, nearby river people living in the areas, and that's why this action has to be taken. And the main regulatory bodies are the pollution control boards, which have to be conferred the following functions that are here. CPCB advised the central government to matter related to prevention and control of water pollution, coordinates activity of state pollution control boards and provides them technical assistance and guidance, then organize comprehensive programs on pollution related issues through mass media, lay down standards for water quality parameters, collect, compiles and publish the technical and statistical data related to the pollution, prepare manual for treatment and disposal of sewage and trade effluent, and establishes laboratories for analysis of water, sewage and trade effluent samples. So if you just taken one example of an area, suppose a assessment has to be done of regarding the water, whether the water is polluted or whether the water is potable for drinking purpose, for domestic purpose and anything like that. So the category has been prepared. A class category, B class category, C class categories are there. And in that categories, we have to just look after these things. And that's why this laboratory analysis is very important. And that's why parameters to analyze, the pollution control board has their various laboratories. And when the field officer enters into any of the premises of the industry, they take the sample from the industry, brought into the laboratory. It has to be checked, it has to be assessed, the parameters, and whether the parameters are beyond the permissible limit or in the permissible limit, that we have to just see. And according to that, the penalty has to be given to the industry, or the strict instruction has to be given to the industry that do not pollute to the water, or whatever the water is going to be released onto the ground, it will percolate into the ground and it will contaminate water of groundwater. That is the thing. And that's why this was the concept regarding this matter. And that's why this Environmental Protection Act in the form of Water Act 1974 has been just came forward. Then what are the functions of the state pollution control boards? State pollution control board means SPCB. So the state pollution control board has a similar function that executed at the state level by the governed by the CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board. So whatever the Central Pollution Control Board has given the norms, regulations, according to that only the Central Pollution Control Board and State Pollution Control Board works in their own areas. In the State Pollution Control Board advises the state government with respect to the location of any industry that might pollute a stream or river. And this is very important, that what type of a sample collection should be there, how it has to be collected, what type of parameter has to be just seen, and how you will know that this water is you can use for domestic purpose, for potable water, or for particular drinking water. So for that purpose, this analysis is very important, and that's why the State Pollution Control Board has power to obtain information, to take samples of effluent from any industry, to sanction or refuse consent of industry. Consent means the permission to run the industry. So that permission is nothing but a consent, which can be refused by the industry if lot of times after giving notice to the industry, they are not stopping to just release the water, polluted water into the rivers, nalas, or onto the ground. Then this is going to be full power to the Pollution Control Board to refuse the consent of the industry and to make survey of any area and the keep record of the volume of other characteristics of any stream or well. So why this law has been came forward? Because to stop the pollution regarding the water, what they release into the rivers. And we think that dilution is a solution for pollution, but it is not like that. Dilution is not solution for pollution here, because if you want to just COD, BOD concept are there. So chemical oxygen demand and biological oxygen demands are there. And this parameter has to be just assessed. And from that, what happen now? If you are having a 1 liter of water, if you add a fresh water 1 liter in that, whatever the parameters you are going to get, it is going to become into your maximum permissible limit. And that permissible limit, it comes, then Pollution Control Board says it's okay. But the actual concentrate water which has been released into the river, if you just calculate that, it is having a lot of BOD. And that's why dilution is not solution for pollution here. You have to just work on that. You have to just come down the particular BOD, COD parameters, and then only that water can be released into the rivers or nalas. So that is the only aspect, or that is only the expectation from the industry. That and the next point is that every industry has to obtain consent. Consent means the permission from the board granted for the fixed duration by applying on the prescribed pharma, providing all technical details along with prescribed fee, following which analysis of a different is carried out. So this is very important. Then a person empowered by the board has the right to enter, inspect, and examine any plant record, registered, document, or any other material, object, for conducting a search of any place where he has reason to believe that no offense of water pollution is committed. So this is also an important aspect. And then the board has powers to restrict or restructure the outlets for dumping pollutants. The board suggests efficient methods for utilizing treatment and disposal of trade effluents. While development is necessary for progression, it aims that resources of the central and state boards for prevention and control of water pollution, the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution (SES) rule, were formulated in 1978 to defining the standards and directions or indications for the kind and location of meters that every consumer of water is required to be installed. So whatever the inlet water is there and whatever the outlet water is going, so you have to keep a record of the premises, that what type of water and which amount of how much amount of water has been entered into the premises and what you have released from your premises. So that is called a SES report you have to give. How much % of water you have just used for gardening purpose, how much water you have used for your production purpose, for R&D purpose, for floor washing, for domestic purpose. So all type of a record has to be kept by the industry of this particular water, and it has to be submitted every month, every 3 months to the Pollution Control Board. And that is called as a CES Act. That is Water Prevention and Control Pollution CES Act 1977. So it has been just came forward in 1977 that what type of utilization of water is going to be done by the various industry and how they are releasing, whether the polluted water they are releasing, which is having lot of amount or less. So from that, this CES report, we just know this particular aspect. This is that the act has been amended in 1991 also with a view of argument that resources of the board by removing the lacuna in the act to provide rebate to the industry for complying with consumption and effluent quality standards. So what are the effluent quality standards is that whether it is can be utilized, whether it can be recycled. So these all aspect has been came forward, and according to that, this CES Control Act in 1977 was prepared. And in that, the technical monitoring for water pollution is that there are, however, several enforcement problems. Although Water CES Act was passed to meet the expenses of the central and state board, yet the water board has no power to take directions action against the entering point party. This is due to the lack of civic sense among people and due to the lack of necessary infrastructure for enforcing implementation of laws and the efficiency of the areas. Then in 1981, what happened? This Prevention and Control of Pollution Act, Air Prevention and Control Act was formed. Why this has been come? Because due to this Bhopal gas tragedy, which has been happened, and lot of peoples have lose their lives in this particular tragedy which has been happened in 1981. And according to this Air Act was passed under the Article 253 of the Constitution of India and in pursuance of decision of Stockholm Conference. So it was also a fruit of Stockholm Conference only. So after Stockholm Conference, the Monotol Protocol was there. Then particularly the Stockholm Conference in 1972, and after 20 years, 1992. This was there. And according to that, this objective of this Air Act is to provide means for the prevention, control and abatement of air pollution in order to preserve the quality of air. So what type of quality air should be there? What type of a pollutant or what type of pollutant we are going to stop? What type of a NOx, SOx or NOx quality you have to see in that particular area. So the fresh environment, it is there or not. So polluted environment and fresh environment. These are the two categories that they have just divided into. And the Act defines relevant terms such as air pollution, air pollutants, vehicular exhaust, and industrial plants. This air pollution can be defined as a presence of any liquid or gases, substances in the atmosphere in such a concentration which tends to be injurious to man, animal, plant, or environment or biota. So whatever the gradients present onto the earth, whether it is harming, that is called as a pollution created. So that's why this air pollution defines each and every aspect very clearly. And the Act also include automobile, diesel vehicles, transport, railway and domestic fuels. So this is also should be taken care while they cannot release lot of sulfur dioxide or a nitrous oxide into the environment to pollute the environment. And that's why this was restricted under section number 19. Declaration of central heavily polluted areas, that air pollution control area, and no industry plant shall be operated in this area without prior consent from State Pollution Control Board. So whenever you want to launch any of the industry in the area, that time you have to take a prior permission from the State Pollution Control Board. If you do not have any prior permission, that is called consent from the Pollution Control Board. So Pollution Control Board will give you consent or a permission by just demanding that what type of industry you are. Suppose a liquid waste generated industries is there, then ETP, effluent treatment plant is necessary in the area. Then if you a solid waste or a hazardous waste you are going to release or you are going to just uh, throw in the area, then that what type of precautions you are going to take regarding this particular hazardous waste. So these all type of a criteria has to be just submitted to the pollution control board, and what type of a particular disposal strategy you are having regarding this pollution which we are going to create in your own premises. That is most important. And for that, after the satisfying to the pollution control board, then only they will give permission to industry to run down in the area, and to run down this industry into the area, it is in the form of consent they are going to give to the industry, and that's why this is called as a consent. Then central and state water boards have been entrusted with the task of controlling and prevention air pollution, and according to they have been redesigned as Central Pollution Control Board and State Pollution Control Board respectively. So these are the particularly Central Pollution Control Board and State Pollution Control Board was working on one platform only. But the thing is that only the change of area where they are working. But each and every information in State Pollution Control Board, what has been wrong, what has been just right things which has been happened in the area, it has to be provided to the Central Pollution Control Board, and then Central Pollution Control Board will just provide this information to the Ministry of Environment, and Ministry of Environment and Forest will provide this information to the Parliament, Government of India. And after that, it will be just discussed into the Parliament, and after that, the decisions will be taken on that particular issue. So this is the particular process which has to be happen, or which has to be mentioned, which has to be done into the areas. That's why this is there. And then the most important thing is that under Section 20 of the Act, the state government is in consultation with the respective board may give instruction to the concerned authority in charge for registration under the Motor Vehicle Act 1939. So it is before independence, this act was there, and today also it is running like that only. But some of the norms has been changed, and that is nothing but the amendment has been done. And today you will see that if a traffic police is there and he is just finding you, the thing is that now the amount has been changed, penalty has been changed, everything has been changed. This is not a change, it has been amended in that particular act in the form of ensure emission standards for automobiles, failure to comply with the condition prescribed for this purpose, and punishable with a fine and imprisonment. So these are the things. Then the state boards have powers to sue the polluters in the court of law to punish him for polluting the air, and expenses incurred by the board will be recovered from the polluters. Then the boards have powers to authorize any person to inspect the premises of polluter and to collect samples of emission for chimneys, flues, ducts, or any other outlets for the analysis of pollutants. So that is the thing, that is the main criteria of the automobile industry, whatever the vehicle you are running, whether it is polluting the environment or what. If it is polluting the environment, it is your moral responsibility to look after the thing that what type of smoke is going to be just released into the atmosphere, whether it is releasing a SOx, NOx in more number, then you have to just what you call as a redesign in your vehicle, or you have to just service your vehicle and then you have to just walk on to the road. Otherwise, it is very difficult and it will be getting penalties regarding this matter, that lot of SOx is going to be released into the atmosphere, because it is going to harm to the common fellows, common man, human, biota, or any of the living creatures in the area, plants, animals, etc. So these are the particular aspect, and that's why it is very important. And then last one is that the Environmental Protection Act 1986. So this Environmental Protection Act, as I told you before only, that Environmental Protection Act in 1986 was prepared. Before that, we were having a Wildlife Act 1972, then Water Prevention Control Act 1974, then Air Act 1981, and whatever the points, whatever the ingredients has been just remain, that has been incorporated into the Environmental Protection Act in 1986. And that's why this has been named and it has been implemented from November 19 in 1986 to enact as per the spirit of the Stockholm Conference. Again, the Stockholm Conference, every time the Stockholm Conference reference comes because this has been motivated by the Stockholm Conference only. What type of environmental protection do you do into your own country? So that was the thing. And according to that, we have just taken the points, and according to that, we have formulated, we have just designed, we have the preparation of legislation, and it has been implemented in Indian subcontinent. So Stockholm Conference, which was held in June 1972, was an important and a big milestone for us to just look after to the environmental protection. And that's why this has been came. Then this act consists of 26 sections distributed among the 4 chapters and extended to the whole country. So this act is too small as compared to the Water Act, Air Act, or a Wildlife Act. It is having only 26 sections. And in this 26 sections, lot of things they have mentioned. That section number 2, standards of quality of air, water, and soil for various areas and for various purposes. Then maximum permissible limits of concentration of various environmental pollutants, including noise for different areas, procedure and safeguards of handling of hazardous substances, prohibition and restriction of on the location of industries and carrying out operations, then procedure for safeguards for the areas, then the prohibition of restriction areas, an act to provide for the protection and improvement of environment and for matters connected therewith. It provides a framework for a coordination of central and state authorities established under the Water Prevention and Control Act 1974 and Air Prevention and Control Act 1981. And the central government is empowered to take measures necessary to protect and improve the quality of the environment by setting standards for emission and discharge, regulating and the locations of industries, management of hazardous waste, and protection of public health and welfare. So this all things has been just regarding the protection of public health and welfare of the country. So that's why this prohibition and restriction of the location of industries and carrying out operations, what type of operations are there. So checkout points are there. And after that, the procedure and safeguards for prevention and accidents which may cause environmental pollution, for the providing for remedial measures in case of accidents. So what type of accidents are going to be? So industrial safety and management. So this is the particular diploma which has been started for this particular area, and these fellows are going to be recruited into the industry as an environmental officers. So for that, this industrial safety officers are very important. So what type of handling rules has to be done? What type of hazardous waste handling substances? What type of basic amenities should be provided to the workers so that they will not going to be just injured by the work which they are doing into the industry or into the premises. So that is most important aspect which has been given in this section. Then after that, silent features of this act. What is the silent features? The silent features are that Environmental Protection Act is a landmark legislation to provide a single focus in the protection of environment, to plug the loopholes in the earlier laws. The act ensures enforcement of several act regulation concerning pollution control. And in fact, Environmental Protection Act is an umbrella legislation which provides a framework, as I have told you before only, there's framework for the coordination of central and state pollution control board or governments and authorities established under the Water and Air Act. So Water and Air Act is the main acts which has been prepared, which has been given in very detail. And after that, this Environmental Protection Act as an umbrella, and whatever the coordination between the state government and central government has to be done. This is the particular act, Environmental Protection Act, which is going to be done. So this act confers to the central government. So what are the particular configurations that we will see? That all such measures is deemed necessary to purpose protecting and improving the quality of environment and preventing, controlling and abating environmental pollution. So this is the particular aspect. And after that, empower any person to enter, inspect, take samples and test. So whenever the samples has to be taken by the from the industry. Suppose a complaint from the common man to the pollution control board that this industry is polluting the water, air, or a groundwater pollution is there. That time the person from the pollution control board or a field officer from the pollution control board will enter and inspect and take the sample and then test it. And whatever the report is there, it is to be submitted to the industry with a notice that whether it is water is polluted or not, and whether the air of the premises is polluted or not, and what type of precaution has to be taken. And after giving the notice also, they are not taking the precautions regarding the air, water, or a groundwater, then the penalty has to be given, or that is called as a polluter pay. So varovar kaitari karna. So this is the particular aspect what we have to just see. And then to establish or organize environmental laboratories and appoint government analysts. So government analysts are also working on this particular aspect. Whatever the sample has to be brought by the field officer, it has to be taken, it has to be analyzed, and according to that, they have to provide the report with the suggestions and what type of betterment for the your premises, whatever the suggestions has to be given by the pollution control board, it has to be obeyed by the industry, and then the industry will just come out from the load of the pollution which is there into the areas. That is the thing. And these are the some again interesting point which is there. But the main interesting point is that the jurisdiction of civil court is bare. Under the act, every state has to set up a green bench court to attend the public interest litigation. Because what happened, everything is not going to be come under the court, because court has lot of work, lot of cases are running, and whatever the case you have just put into the court, it will not just come on board with a stipulated period. And that's why this green bench courts has to be started. So it has been started, and now everything regarding the environmental consent, environmental aspect, environmental pollution, this green bench court has to be handled, and according to that, they are giving their results. And according to that, the punishment has to be given to the industry, and whatever the improvement has to be done into the industry, their suggestions has been given regarding the environmental hazards affecting the quality of life of the citizens. So that is most important aspect in this area. Then state pollution control boards have to follow the guidelines provided under Section 6 of Environmental Protection Act 1986. So what are these guidelines? So the guidelines are, they have to advise the industry for treating the wastewater and gases with the best technology to achieve and prescribe standards. Second one is, the industry have to encourage for recycling and recovery of biogas, energy and reusable materials. And the central and state pollution control board have to emphasize on the implementation of clean green technology by the industry. So every time and everywhere, it is a huge cry on the green technology, clean green air, clean green environment, peaceful environment, live with harmony with environment. So these are only the big words what we just take off. But the thing is that nobody is just bother about the environment. That is only the crucial point in this particular aspect. And the government has taken several steps to provide legal, institutional, basic and implementation. So we just, as a common man, think about that the government is not taking very seriously, or government has not done these things and that things. But the thing is that the government has taken several steps to provide legal and institutional basis of implementation. But the thing is that people are not knowing about these things. People are not aware about the things. And whenever this issue comes, I think this issue has to be taught into the school level only, so that each and every student who is learning into the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th standard or 10th standard like that, they should know that what type of a seriousness regarding the environmental laws are there. Because we are not teaching this particular aspect in the school level, that's why many aged fellows also 60 years, 70 years after their just living in India, they don't know the rules of environmental aspects. That is happening. Today is the most serious problem. This is that today also the peoples are not knowing about the environmental laws. What type of seriousness we are going to have, what type of penalties they are having, what type of precautions we have to take to do not to spoil the environment. So that is not the thing. Then that's why we are blaming every time to the government, and we are talking about that the government is not taking a several steps, but it is not true. Government is taking a several steps, but the thing is that the legal and institutional basis for implementation is not going to be implemented by the common man, common industry, or whatever it is on paper only, and it is not come out with a big aspect or motivated aspect. That is the true aspect. That's why this is beside this, the ministry has recently taken several new initiatives to steer the country towards the basic premises for sustainable development and towards providing ecological scrutiny for the future. This is only the EAP rules, what is happening. And here the environmental impact assessment. So impact assessment, what we have to do is that under this Environmental Protection Act 1986, the amendment was made in 1994 for environmental impact assessment for various means, that is 29 major development projects. And in this 29 major developed project, specified that falling under the sectors such as industries, mining, irrigation, power, transport, tourism, etc., whatever it is may be, required clearance from the central government before establishment. So nobody has right to establish any of this particular aspect under the Environmental Protection Rule 1986. That was been made compulsory by the central government. So on paper, they are maintaining all the things, but actually in the process, they are not knowing anything about the environment. They are not serious about the environment. That is only the problem. And that's why this project proponent has to provide EI report. So EI report is also prepared, and it has to be given to submitted to the Pollution Control Board, risk analysis report, NOC from the State Pollution Control Board. So all this technical aspect they are doing, but the thing is that practically nothing is going to be happen. And that's why you are facing, or today we are facing the problem of environmental climate change problem is there. So these are the problem which has been arises today due to this particular lacuna, whatever we have neglected, or we have just taken as an assumption. We have assumed all the things that environment is nothing, but we are only the thing. And that's why this is happening. And this now today also we are not thinking about the environment. Only झाडे लगावा, झाडे जगवा, this is only the aspect of us. But the thing is that what type of other aspect which is very much responsible for the environmental protection, that we have to see. If we are not seeing this particular aspect, then it is very difficult for us. Only one type of a aspect will not save the environment, not save to the green earth or our mother earth, what we say. But the thing is that we have to see each and every gradient. As we just have any of this meal, that time each and every gradient has to be put into the meal, then only it is going to be a sweetest or a nice taste of that particular meal. So according to that, each and every environmental gradient has to be put into the area. It has to be worked on to the area. Then only you will find that is a beautiful environment which is going to be produced from that particular aspect. So this is the saying of this EPA 1986. But the thing is that today also nobody is serious about these things. Then environmental audit is also a next part, which is very important. So every time the environmental audit has to be done by the industry, every year the audit report has to be submitted to the Pollution Control Board. But this audit report is also on the paper only. What type of a plants you have just sowed into your areas, what type of a greenery you have developed into the areas, what type of a awareness program you have taken for the workers, how they are just obeying the orders, what type of environmental strategies you have done in your own premises. So these all strategies, whatever it is going to be, it has to be mentioned. It has to be implemented into the industry. But industry also what they do, they only just environmental audit. Okay, what type of audit it has to be done? Okay, this has been done, this has been done, this has been done. If you go and ask to the premises worker, they doesn't know anything about that particular aspect what they have given on paper. So that's why this is paper work is different and the practical work is different. And that's why industry only want to produce, or they are only interested in R&D. They are not interested in the rather than industrial product. And that's why this is the lacuna, and that's why we are facing a lot of problems like climate change and all the things. So this is what we have just seen, that today we have just seen a detail about a Wildlife Protection Act 1972, then Water Prevention and Control Act 1974, Forest Conservation Act 1980, Air Prevention and Control Pollution Act 1981, Environmental Protection Act 1986, Biomedical Waste Management we have not seen, but the biomedical waste management is a different aspect than municipal solid waste is there, noise pollution is there. So these are the particular different aspects which has to be just studied very seriously, and not only study, but it has to be implemented in your own way. So that is most important here. And when we talk about the ethical behavior of the utmost important, we believe and think that man is all powerful and supreme creature of the world. But the nature has provided us with the resources and nourishes us like a mother, our mother. So we should respect the nature here. That is the saying. Here, some conclusions we have there, that we have more than 200 central and state legislation which deals with the environmental issues. More legislation means more difficulties in enforcement, but there is a need of have a comprehensive and integrated law on environmental protection and meaningful enforcement. Then if you just talk about the environmental protection laws have failed to bring about the desired results, consequently, for the purpose of efficient and effective enforcement of these laws, it is necessary to set up an environmental courts with one judge and two technical experts from the field of environmental science and ecology. These courts should be allowed to adopt summary proceedings for speedy disposal of the causes. To begin with, we may have such courts at a state and national level that may later be extended to district level and need-based principle. In order to discourage prolonged litigation, the provisions should be confirmed and single appeal. In single appeal, it should be happen, but there is a multiplicity of environment pollution control standards for the same type of industry. However, you can say that under the Environmental Protection Act 1986, now the power has been conferred upon the central government for laying down the standards for quality of water, soil. It is hoped that this will ensure uniformity of standards throughout our country. But the thing is that today also we will see that nobody is serious. As I have told in the whole lecture, that nobody is serious about the environmental aspect. And from the point of view of teachers also, rather than our subject, nobody is looking after the environmental aspect, that what type of environment, where we are living, where we are getting, that we are not giving lot of emphasis, lot of importance to that particular aspect. Then you can say, in order to enforcement, the environmental law strengthly, mere misdiscrepancy and technical flaws should be discouraged into the courts. And that's why this is very important to the particular aspects. Here, finally, the protection of environment and keeping ecological balance unaffected is a task which not only the government, but also every individual, association and in corporation must be undertake. and it is a social obligation and fundamental duty ensured in Article 51 AG. That rightly I have said in first only that Article 51 AG is very important of the Constitution of India. And according to that, we have to obey that each and every citizen has to play an important role to save our mother earth. And that is only the thing. And that's why I have given this quotation here that do not and does. Having fewer wants, limit to growth and good environment. So that is the thing about the aspect. And if you have any questions regarding this particular environmental law, please ask so that I can able to try my best to give you answer regarding this particular matter. So thank you very much for the listening you patiently, and HRDC and Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Marathwada University to give me a chance to deliver my lecture. Thank you one and all. So if you have any questions, please ask me so that I can just give you the. I will try my best to just give the answers. Hello, participants. Participants are there?
Yes, sir. Yes, we all are here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please, if you have any queries, questions, please ask so that I can try for that. Because I have ended with environmental laws enacted in India. And if you have any questions, please ask. In our university already the light has been gone, so our internet is also going to be collapsed in some time, in 10 minutes like that. So I have 10 minutes. We can interact in 10 minutes and then we will finish. No questions from your side?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
That's how we can balance the economic development with the environmental conservation. As we know, the Western countries, USA, the air quality index is very much good in there, and they are already a progressing country, and they are already developed. So, in case of that, how we can balance these two aspects?
Yeah, it's a very good one. But the thing is that when after all, we have to come out of our economic balance. What is that? Whatever the environmental criteria is there, according to that, we are not thinking. We are thinking to earn the money, earn the economy. We are not thinking about the other gradients, water quality index or air quality index, what they are maintaining. That we are not maintaining. Today also, what happens now, if I just launch one of the industry, I will just think over the only production. I will not think about the environmental gradients or aspects. And that is the main lacuna we are having in India. So everybody is not thinking, everybody is taking assume the environment, that is the environment is with us, and then whatever we are going to do, that will be better. About whatever the money they are just the earning, some 20% of money should be spent on the environmental aspect, but none of the industries are spending this money, and that's why we are having the lacuna in this area. And this maintaining of the water quality standards and the water quality standards is difficult. What type of what you say, and what type of particular efforts has to be taken by the government? Only the government is not responsible for this all aspects. Government has given us a law, such a good law, and according to that we are not obeying. That is the only particular lacuna we are having. Secondly, we are not caring about the environment. We are all particular peoples are talking about the environment, but nobody is care about the environment. So that is the thing. And that's why these are the problems which is in India. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, if you have any questions, please ask. Otherwise, we will stop here. Shall we stop now?
हा, जर जर कोणाचे काही प्रश्न नसतील तर आपण वोट ऑफ थँक्स घेऊया.
प्रश्न विचारा. मला असं अपेक्षित आहे की प्रश्न विचारा. 10 मिनिटं.
सर ऍक्च्युली काय
ऍक्च्युली
कायद्याच्या
तुम्ही मराठीतून जरी विचारलं तरी चालेल, कारण मला काय माहितीये का, 15-10 मिनिटं माझ्याकडे आहेत अजून. आणि आमच्या इथे इंटरनेट आता म्हणजे बंद होत आहे थोड्या वेळात, त्याच्यामुळे त्याच्या पहिले जर विचारले तर बरं होईल, नाहीतर मग वाइंड अप केलं तर बरंच बरं, काही प्रॉब्लेम नाही.
ठीक आहे.
नमस्कार सर.
हा बोला.
सर, डिसेक्शन हे टोटली सिलेबस मधून काढलं गेलेलं आहे.
हो.
आणि एन्व्हायरमेंटचा विचार करूनच तो बॅन केलेला आहे. तर काही जे स्पेसीज आहे ते स्पेसीज एन्व्हायरमेंटसाठी घातक आहे, जसं की कॉक्रोच म्हणा किंवा मग रॅट म्हणा. मग ते का इम्प्लिमेंट केलं जात नाही की डिसेक्शन मध्ये तुम्ही घ्या आणि ते करा, असं का काही ऍक्ट निघत नाहीये त्याच्यासाठी?
मॅडम, हा प्रश्न कसा आहे की तुम्ही झुलॉजीचा आहात का मॅडम?
येस सर.
हा, तर तुम्हाला सांगतो मी, झुलॉजी मध्ये आता डिसेक्शन बंद केल्याने काय परिणाम झाला तुम्ही मला सांगा. काही झाला का? डिसेक्शन बंद केलं किंवा होतं चालू तर काय प्रॉब्लेम होता का? काहीच नाही, कारण आता स्पेशल परमिशन आहे तसे की तुम्हाला जर रिसर्च साठी जर तुम्हाला करायचं असेल तर तुम्हाला स्पेशल परमिशन घेऊन तुम्ही डिसेक्शन करू शकता. फक्त तुम्हाला जनरल प्रॅक्टिस मध्ये, जनरल प्रॅक्टिकल्स मध्ये त्याला बॅन केलेलं आहे. त्याचं कारण असं आहे की कुठून पण आणा आणि लगेच त्याला मारा, लगेच फिश आणा, लगेच त्याचे LC50 काढा, LD50 काढा, हे प्रकार आहेत. हे प्रकार थांबवावेत आणि खरंच अर्थाने आणि चांगल्या पद्धतीने रिसर्च करून काहीतरी त्याचा आउटकम निघत असेल तरच त्याला परमिशन द्यावी, हा त्याच्या पाठीमागचा उद्देश आहे. बंद करणं हा उद्देश नव्हताच आणि आजही नाहीये. आता पण तेच एका लॉच्या याच्यामध्ये मी सांगितलं की तुम्हाला की रिसर्च साठी तुम्ही जर त्याच्यासाठी जर कंपाईल फॉर्म भरला आणि तुम्ही जर त्याला परमिशन मागितली तर तुम्हाला आजही परमिशन आहेच ती डिटेक्शन किंवा डिसेक्शन करण्यासाठी. पण ते प्रॉब्लेम असा आहे की तो दैनंदिन याच्यामध्ये जनरल पब्लिक साठी दाखवण्यासाठी डिसेक्शन नसावं, हे त्याच्यामधून बॅन आहे. हा तो प्रकार आहे, बाकी काही
नाही. पण ते काढल्यामुळे आमच्या मुलांचा इंटरेस्ट गेला ना सर. ऍक्च्युली तोच महत्वाचा पार्ट आहे जो की मुलांना म्हणजे बेसिक साठी बोलते मी. जसं BSc फर्स्ट इयरचे विद्यार्थी आहे, सेकंड इयरचे, त्यांना ती स्किल जी आमच्या वेळेस होती ती आता नाहीच आहे. तर थेरॉटिकली जेवढं लक्षात येत नाही, जरी आम्ही डायग्राम्स दाखवतो किंवा मग आपण त्यांना काही सॉफ्टवेअरनी त्यांना एक्सप्लेन करतो, परंतु ती जी मजा आहे सर, ही म्हणजे जे अॅनिमल्स इन्क्लूड केलेले आहे ते तरी अॅनिमल्सचं कमीत कमी डिसेक्शन दिलं जावं असं मला वाटतं सर.
नाही, डिसेक्शनचं काय आहे, त्याच्यामध्ये असा प्रॉब्लेम आहे की जास्तीत जास्त स्पेसिस कसं आहेत की त्याच्यामध्ये तुम्हाला ज्या मेजर स्पेसिस आहेत त्या मेजर स्पेसिस तुम्हाला त्या करता येणार नाहीयेत. कारण असं आहे की गव्हर्नमेंटने ते स्ट्रॅटेजीज ठेवलेली आहे की तुम्हाला आता इतके ऑडिओ व्हिडिओ व्हिज्युअल्स चालू झालेले आहेत की ते ऑडिओ व्हिडिओ व्हिज्युअल्स तुम्हाला सगळे डिटेक्शन्स वगैरे सगळे माहीत पडतात. इव्हन कुठला लेअर कधी कापायचा, कुठं स्टिच करायचा, काय करायचा, तुम्हाला ऑडिओ व्हिडिओ सगळे भेटल्यानंतर तुम्हाला याची गरजच नाही खऱ्या अर्थाने. असा गव्हर्नमेंटचा विचार आहे आणि तो खरा आहे. त्याच्यामध्ये तो काही वावगं नाही. त्याच्यात एखाद्या अॅनिमलला मारून ते दाखवण्यापेक्षा त्या अॅनिमलचं सगळं तुम्हाला जर व्हिज्युअलायझेशन तुम्हाला दिसत असेल सगळं परफेक्टली, तर ते व्हिज्युअलायझेशन BSc सारखं मार्गित आहे. आणि हे तुम्ही तुमच्या सिलेबसमध्ये इम्प्लिमेंट केले पाहिजे की व्हिज्युअलायझेशन कसं दाखवायचं. पण आजपर्यंत काय झालंय की BSc मध्ये आपण ते व्हिज्युअलायझेशन टाकलेलं नाहीये. ते आता इम्प्लिमेंट करायची गरज आहे. NEP 2020 मध्ये तेच सांगितलेलं आहे की व्हिज्युअलायझेशननी तुम्ही ते दाखवा आणि ते करा. तुम्ही बोर्डवर दाखवताना ते तुम्हाला तितकंसं इम्पॅक्ट त्या पोरावर पडणार नाहीये. पण तुम्ही जर व्हिज्युअलायझेशन दाखवले तर त्याचा इम्पॅक्ट बराचसा पोरांवर पडेल आणि पोरांना इंटरेस्ट राहील त्याच्यामध्ये. जसं तुम्ही आता म्हणलं की त्यांना पोरांना इंटरेस्ट येत नाही, इंटरेस्ट याच्यामध्ये येईलच. पोरं बघतातच तुम्ही की आता जे कार्टून्स वगैरे जे आहेत त्याच्यामधून तुम्ही जर त्यांना जर त्या
सगळीकडे ती अवेलेबिलिटी नसते ना सर, कारण की ते परचेस करायचे असतात सॉफ्टवेअर.
ती अवेलेबिलिटी करायची आहे कॉलेजला. NEP 2020 मध्ये तेच सांगता येतात की ते करायचं.
आता इम्प्लिमेंट होईल ना, समजा आता इम्प्लिमेंट होईल त्याचं.
मग ते व्हायला त्याच्यासाठीच ते बंद केलेलं आहे आणि ते होईल चालू. आता याच्या पुढे तुम्हाला सिलेबस मध्ये पण आता तुमच्या जे बॉडीज आहेत, BOS मेंबर्स आहेत, त्यांनी त्याच्यामध्ये लक्ष घालून त्यांनी ते सिलेबस मध्ये ते इन्कॉर्पोरेट करावं असं त्याच्यामधून
ओके
उद्देश.
सर, थँक्यू.
ओके.
ओके ओके, थँक्यू सर.
अजून कोणाचे प्रश्न असतील तर बोले विचारा, नाहीतर आपण समाप्त करू.
सर अजून एक क्वेश्चन होता.
बोला मॅडम.
हॅलो सर, जसं चिपको मुवमेंट आहे
हो.
बॉटनीमध्ये, किंवा आपण ती एक मुवमेंट म्हणून राबवतो,
हो.
एक नॅकच्या दृष्टिकोनातून त्याला खूप महत्व आहे.
हो.
तर झुलॉजी मध्ये सेक्स डिटर्मिनेशन जी होते मॅन मध्ये, तर ती पण एक चळवळ म्हणून आपण घेऊ शकतो का,
घेऊ शकतो ना.
किंवा असेल?
हो. आता तुम्ही जर त्याच्यावर माहितीये का, BSc मध्ये तर आता इम्प्लांट ट्रेनिंग मध्ये आलेलं आहे, त्याच्यामध्ये प्रोजेक्ट्स आहेत तुम्हाला बनवायचे, त्याच्यामध्ये तुम्हाला ते घेता येतं ना. असं काही जरूरत नाही की सिलेबस मध्ये पाहिजेच ते. तुम्हाला आता इम्प्लांट ट्रेनिंग मध्ये जे द्यायचं तुम्हाला 4th इयरला BSc मध्ये, त्याच्यासाठीच दिलेलं आहे की त्याच्यामध्ये तुम्ही ते इम्प्लिमेंट करावं आणि ते द्यावं पोरांना. तुमच्या अशाच नवीन नवीन जे आयडियाज आहेत ना त्याच्यामध्ये इम्प्लिमेंट करायचे आहेत. टीचरचं त्याच्यामध्ये जास्तीत जास्त इन्व्हॉल्वमेंट असून इन्व्हेन्शन काही असेल ना तर ते देण्यासाठी केलेलं आहे. त्याच्यामुळे NAP फार गरजेचं आहे. त्याच्यामध्ये तुम्ही ते इम्प्लिमेंट करण्यासाठी तुमच्या चेअरमनला वगैरे सांगितलं पाहिजे. तर त्यांनी ते पोरांना त्याच्यामध्ये बऱ्यापैकी त्यांना वाव भेटणार आहे.
ठीक आहे सर.
ओके. ओके, काही प्रश्न नसतील तर आपण yes, dear participants, shall we end this session?
मला असं वाटतं कोणाचे काही प्रश्न नाही आहेत सर.
हा, चल बंद करू बघ, आता बंद झालं.
सर 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 आपण ऍक्च्युली एन्व्हायरमेंटल लॉज इनॅक्टेड इन इंडिया या विषयावर जेव्हा मार्गदर्शन करणार असं पाहिलं तर असं वाटलं सर की यात काय काय बोलू, काय काय असू शकतं. परंतु आपण जेव्हा हे पूर्ण लेक्चर डिलिव्हर केलं तर पर्यावरण आपल्यासाठी किती महत्वाचं आहे आणि रक्षण करण्यासाठी आपल्या देशात किती वेगवेगळे नियम आहेत याचं सखोल मार्गदर्शन दिसलं. जसे नियम फॅक्टरी ऍक्ट आहेत, वाईल्ड लाईफ ऍक्ट आहेत, वॉटर ऍक्ट आहेत, एअर ऍक्ट, एन्व्हायरमेंटल प्रोटेक्शन ऍक्ट, एन्व्हायरमेंटल इथिक्स काय आहेत, हे वेगवेगळे कायदे आहेत हे माहिती झाले सर. आणि पोल्युशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड काय काम करतं हे पण आम्हाला माहित नव्हतं, पण तुमच्या लेक्चरमुळे माहित झालं सर. त्यांचे अधिकार माहित झाले. असं वाटत होतं की एखाद्या आपण लॉच्या पिरियड मध्ये बसलोय का असं वाटलं मला तरी पर्सनली.
नाही, हे तर जरुरी आहे.
हा. आणि खूप छान सेशन झालं, त्याबद्दल खूप खूप आभार सर. आणि इव्हन गव्हर्नमेंटचे प्रोजेक्ट असतात मायनिंग, याच्यासाठी सुद्धा आपल्याला गव्हर्नमेंटची परवानगी वेगळी घ्यावी लागते सर. हे सुद्धा माहित नव्हतं. हे कायदे बनवायचे उद्देश समजले का, आणि खरं त्याची ग्रॅव्हिटी पण कळायची. जर एवढे हे कायदे जर सर एवढे स्ट्रिक्ट नसले असते तर आपल्याला सर्वाइव्ह होणं खरंच अवघड असलं असतं. म्हणजे आपणच नाही तर प्राण्यांचे जीवन किंवा जीवसृष्टी काय, एकूण पृथ्वीचं जीवन सुद्धा धोक्यात आलं असतं सर. तर हे जर सगळे नियम पाळले तर कुठल्याच दुर्घटना होणार नाहीत आणि आपण सर्वजण सुखी राहू असं या कन्क्लुजनला आलो आम्ही. आणि याच्यामुळे जे वेगवेगळे कायदे आहेत त्याच्याबद्दल आम्हाला त्याबद्दल सगळं सजग झालो आम्ही. कुठे जर व्हायलन्स याचा व्हायलेशन होताना दिसलं सर तर निश्चित आम्ही पण याच्याबद्दल आवाज उठवू शकतो. आता
प्रयत्न करायचेच आपल्याला आवाज उठवायचे.
निश्चित सर. हा अतिशय अति संवेदनशील हा विषय होता. तुम्ही खरंच खूप छान प्रेझेंटेशनद्वारे आम्हाला एक्सप्लेन केलं. तर मी MMTC आणि डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर मराठवाडा विद्यापीठाच्या HRDC डिपार्टमेंट आणि सर्व पार्टिसिपंट यांच्यातर्फे आपले आभार व्यक्त करतो सर. थँक्यू.
धन्यवाद. थँक्यू व्हेरी मच.
थँक्यू सर.